Okay, you can proceed.
Excellent. We're recording now. So first on my list, Chase and Tyler. So Chase, if you want to go, Tyler, you're on deck.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm Chase Landrey. I work for the City of Beaverton in the Development Division, Community Development Department. I work with Tyler and Kelly here on the chat to help with urban renewal, community engagement, and lots of other projects, including the downtown equity strategy.
And Tyler Ryerson, staff liaison to our urban renewal agency, and get to hang out with these fine folks on the committee. And it's great to see a lot of visitors tonight. So welcome.
And then I see Oswaldo.
Hello, Oswaldo Bernal, South Beaverton, and new to the URAC committee, but former Diversity Advisory Board member. Happy to be here.
And Scott.
Scott Winter, Planning Commission.
Paige.
Hi, Paige Lurwick, Lowe's resident, and happy to see everybody after a little pause.
Eric.
Eric Lear. I live in the Five Oaks Triple Creek neighborhood, and this is my third year on the board, and I would echo Paige. Good to see everybody.
Jennifer.
Jennifer and I'm a Planning Commission member and Central Beaverton NAC resident.
Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Correa. I'm an affordable housing developer with NAJ Milwaukee. I am in my, I believe, third meeting here at URAC.
Paula.
Hi, Paula Cottrell. I'm up in the north in Cedar Mills area. This is my third year. Eric and I joined the party at the same time. Happy to be here. Happy to see everybody.
And Alan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alan Kennedy. I'm with Walton Valley Fire and Rescue, and I think this is my second or third term serving on URAC. So thank you.
Andy.
Andy Allen. This is my second term on URAC, and I'm a resident of the.
And people are jumping around, man. Who's next to my Carol?
Hi, my name is Caroline Mukula Chensa, and this is my first time on this board. My first year, I served on the Beaverton Diversity Advisory Board for 4 years before moving to this one. So.
And Nathan? You're muted, Nathan, sorry.
Sorry about that. I've been toggling between different web applications. Nathan Perley here with the Raleigh Beaverton, the Beaverton Group. Been with here now, I think, for a little over a year, and just catching up with everyone. Good to see everyone again.
Did I miss anybody else who's on the board? I'm having trouble.
Yeah, it looks like Jerome just got on.
Oh, Jerome.
Hi, everybody.
Do you want to just introduce yourself a little? Just tell us something. A little something about you.
Sure, I'm not muted, am I?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, good. Yes, I'm brand new this year. Happy to be on the board. I'm a psychologist in private practice. My practice is right downtown, smack dab in the middle of the Creekside district there where all the action is. And I live in Beaverton as well. So really interested and excited about what we're doing.
Excellent. And I'm Rebecca. I'm the chair. And yeah, so I think this is my second year doing this. And okay, so thank you, everybody. That was great. Moved it along really quickly. So now let's go to visitor comments. And Tyler, I'm going to let you take the reins on this for calling on people for visitors.
Okay, yeah, sounds good, Rebecca. Certainly will. Let's see. I know we got some visitors tonight, so if you do want to speak to the advisory committee, if you want to maybe put up your hand or the little hand icon, either way, that would be great. I'd like to have a quick reminder that if you are here and you put anything in the chat, everything gets recorded. And so If you're not wanting to have whatever you want to message me or somebody, then that gets recorded either way. And then if you are here on maybe a political ballot, if you want to give us your email, that's great. But we can't include any specific websites that might have your candidacy information. So with that, and I got Jerome. Hi there. How you doing, Mr. Sabang?
Yes, thank you. Let me lower my hand. Yeah, so I would like to introduce myself to the committee if I can be given about 3.5 minutes, if that's all right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Confirm yes. You can have up to 5. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Jerome Sabayan, and I am a candidate for Beaverton City Council in next month's special election. First of all, I want to thank you for your service to our community and the city. What you are doing will frame what our Beaverton downtown will look like for the next 50 years. Your advice and recommendations to the Bureau in coordination with the Planning Commission is a testament to what can be done if we all collaborate and work together for a common purpose. I am the son of Filipino immigrants who were teenagers in the Philippines during Japan's brutal occupation during World War II. I was raised in Salem and have some wonderful childhood memories of day trips to Beaverton, going shopping at Uwajimaya. I live in the Vos neighborhood and walk or bike downtown several times a week to shop, dine, and recreate. We share the understanding that a walkable city is a vibrant city. Like you, I am a community volunteer, having served or currently volunteer on Beaverton's Human Rights Advisory Committee, the Severe Weather Shelter, Social Services Funding Committee, Beaverton School District's Bond Accountability Committee, Home Plate for Homeless Youth Board of Directors, Metro's Get Moving 2020 Local Transportation Infrastructure Investment Team, Engineers Without Borders Community Engineering Corps, and Education First Scholarship Foundation, all serving traditionally underserved communities. I am a veteran, a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, having served this amazing nation around the world and throughout the United States for 28 years. I had more than a handful of combat tours and operational deployments, but served for many years in the Corps of Engineers. I was a public works director, leading a department with 300 employees and managed an annual budget of $70 million. As the Corps' commander for Central America, I led the $300 million Hurricane Mitch reconstruction program throughout Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. I am a licensed professional engineer with bachelor's and master's degrees in civil engineering. I understand how infrastructure is a direct reflection of our community's values and beliefs. Infrastructure tells everyone this is how we want to live. As a city councilor, I will advocate for the development of a true multimodal transportation system, which serves efficient and sustainable land use patterns, densities, and community designs that will allow for and enhance mass transit, bicycle safety, and pedestrian travel. I am an educator with master's and doctorate degrees in political science and history. I was a tenured associate professor at the Army War College and currently teach courses on national security and critical thinking. I am grateful that my military pension and ongoing teaching allows me to continue my long tradition of public service and to self-fund my campaign in these tough COVID times. If elected, rather than take city money, I will donate all after-tax counselor compensation to local nonprofits. I am not a politician. I am a public servant. I hope you will honor my intentions to serve our city with honor, integrity, and respect by voting for me this May for Beaverton City Council. My name is Jerome Sabayan, and I am a candidate for City Council. And with the chair's permission, I will type my email address in the chat, and I look forward to continuing our conversation soon. Thank you for your time this evening, and thank you again for your service to the city.
Thank you, Jerome. Nice to meet you. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that. Any other visitor comments? Becca, I'm not seeing any, or are you?
do not. So thank you, Jerome, for that, really introducing yourself. That was very interesting. Okay, so seeing no other visitor comments, we are
And
going to.
the chat is disabled for me, so I can't type my email address in there.
Well, let me.
Got it.
You got it? Okay. Okay. So next up, Tyler, you're on.
Okay, thank you. First item on the agenda, we have Verso virtual site tour, site visit, and one of the things that we have talked about a lot on this committee is the fact that you want to get into these projects that have been popping up throughout our urban renewal area. We were able to do a walkabout, gosh, been what, 2 years now? It feels like a lot longer, of the Rise Central, and which was a project that Kira Cador, who is here with us tonight with Rembold Properties, developed. And she may have touched on that particular project, but more importantly, she has a new project that has opened up at the beginning of February, and that's called the Verso, and it's located at 2nd and Lombard. Kira and her sister Callie and their dad, who runs Rembold Properties, have 4 different projects within the city of Beaverton. 3 of them are actually within the urban renewal area, and they have a 4th one that is up in Paula and Josh's neighborhood in the Timberland neighborhood. Kira has gracefully brought us these projects. And then she has also said, yeah, you know, she would love to come in and talk to you and try to do a virtual tour since we're not going to be able to go on site. I'm sure she would welcome anyone who would like to go into her building. So, you know, feel free to reach out and we can get some more additional information. Kira, thank you for the things that you have done and what Rembold Properties has brought to the city. And maybe you can talk a little bit tonight, not only about the Verso, but you know, why Beaverton and what brought you here. So, Kira.
Sure. Thanks, Tyler. Hello, everyone. So I have to preface this. This is the first time I've done a virtual presentation. I've only been one of the faces that has watched the virtual presentation. So my technology skills are not as honed as some other people in my office. So I'll do my best to share this tour that we set up in a slideshow. So do I just share my screen first here? Okay. There we go. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So Verso. Now I want to make sure, Tyler, that all you see is the side of the building with the sign, right?
Correct. That is
okay.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah, full screen.
Full screen. Great. Okay. So let me just give you a little history about Verso first. We closed on the property that we bought from the Burnside family in March of 2019 and started construction in June of 2019. It took us quite a while to get to closing, and I don't remember how long, probably at least a year. December 2020, we primarily finished construction, but it took us part of January and a little bit of February to get all the appliances in. If you've tried to order an appliance, they are not readily available right now. So they came in waves. And so then we opened our door, like Tyler said, in February to our first tenants. Now, Verso is the 4th, like Tyler said, of 4 communities that we've developed in Beaverton since 2016. The Ackerley at Timberland in the lower right hand is our senior project in the Timberland neighborhood. And then, you know, the Rise Old Town, which is now the Westline Apartments, the Rise Central, and finally Verso. These 4 projects that have been built since 2016 represent about 170 million of development investment. There are 486 new homes, apartments, plus 200 senior, almost 200 senior apartments, and about 10,000 square feet of retail. And the other thing I was thinking of is that, you know, apartments don't employ a lot of people permanently. They do during construction. But our senior project actually employs probably 100 or so people permanently. And we're always hiring. So if you know anybody that wants to work in senior housing, post-COVID probably, send them over to the Ackerley at Timberland. So, and I have notes. I want to make sure I don't miss anything because I tend to ramble. Okay, so Tyler mentioned the Rise Central that you're all very familiar with. And when we had the opportunity to start working with the city on the Westgate site, you know, it's a large site, and we all agreed that however that got developed out would really impact the future of the district, and that it better not just be an island unto itself. It better, you know, form a continuation of a neighborhood. And so we spent a lot of time working collaboratively with the city and consultants on a master planning process. And you can see in that lower slide where it shows lot A, B, and C, that's really how we came up with, okay, how are we going to continue streets? How are the lots going to lay out so it feels walkable and approachable, but gets enough density? And so lot A and B are where the two Rise Central buildings are, and lot C is where we hoped and envisioned a hotel developer would come in and build a hotel. Now, during this process of planning, Betty Bodie reached out to us and asked to have a meeting. And what she asked of us is if we could figure out a way to get some affordability in the Rise Central project. And because we've developed 9%, which is our 9% LIHTC projects, and we still own them, they're 100% affordable, and a 4% mixed income project, we weren't really afraid of the concept, but what we wanted to do is figure out a way to do something less burdensome in terms of the regulatory agreement, which scares off banks and investors, and do something that I like to call regulatory light. And the city was open to it. And so what we ended up doing was putting together a unique regulatory agreement that held us accountable without being disincentivizing development. And we ended up delivering 15 affordable units, a mix of studio and 1 bedrooms. And you can see in this lower slide, I love this picture because the man in the red is our first resident, and also he's our first affordable resident. He's a retired musician from Manhattan, and I chatted with him for quite a while. And he said that he loves not only being able to afford his studio apartment on a fixed income, but also the fact that it reminded him of home, with the stoops that face the street and people looking out of their windows and the density. He said he really, and the access to transit, he just loved it. He's a real character. He was fun to chat with. So that's the history. And once we got Central almost completed and we're working toward this Verso plan, we came up with a little bit different idea, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I wanted to show a high-level site plan to you. This is, ignore all the little tiny writing that you can't see, because this is really the landscape plan, but it's, to me, it's the easiest to envision. And what you'll see, you know, this is Lombard over here on the east. This is Second up here on the north, and then Franklin back here to the west. And this yellow structure or shape is the building. So this area here between the large parking lot is a 14,000 square foot courtyard. And then in terms of the building, we have some retail space along Second and Lombard. And then we have all of our amenity spaces on the ground floor, which you will find in this area, the east side of the building, and in the west side of the ground floor. This is a 162,000 square foot building. The courtyard I already told you is 14,000 square feet. There are 121-ish parking spaces, and 10 of them are EV charging spaces. And then we have the retail is about 2,700 square feet. So in terms of auto access, you can come in and out of the parking garage through a gate on Franklin right over here. And you can exit onto Lombard here. You just can't back up traffic and wait for the gate to open and enter onto Lombard. The total project costs are $44.4 million, and there is about $15 million of equity invested in the Verso project. Why this site? You know, when we already had the Rise Old Town and the Rise Central. You can see our location, Verso here in this dark green space. And I mean, obviously there's a lot going on in Old Town. And what we liked that we started in Old Town was this concept of an urban, suburban, high walk score community. And we just felt that there was more demand than we could even fulfill with our 2 projects. So when this opportunity became available, what we wanted to do is just continue that. And as you can see from this site plan or this map, this is from our website, there are a ton of, we know the public areas, but there's also private, locally owned. I think almost all of these wine and dine and shop and play are locally owned businesses. Now there's a few chains in there, but I think that's super compelling and makes for such an interesting location. And then, you know, finding equity and loans for Central and Old Town, we didn't have any comp set. Our comps were in Hillsborough or in Portland. There was nothing there to point to saying, hey, yeah, believe in us. So we just had to keep telling our story until we found an investor that, you know, took a flyer on us. And so by the time this opportunity came around, we'd already built the comps and we were able to go out, and there's a different ownership group that developed Verso. So because of this different ownership group, we really wanted to do something a little different than we'd already done. And you look at that site, and because it's a 2.3 acre site, we knew that we could spread out a little and have a little breathing room. And I really love having an outdoor space available, you know, that's not just my balcony or my patio. And because it's expensive to build balconies for every unit, we had the opportunity here to design this courtyard. And we started thinking of it during the design process as a park. It doesn't really look like a park right now because the trees and everything has to grow in, but you can see, you can get a sense of how the paved surface meander through the courtyard. There are more benches in this courtyard than I've ever seen on any project anywhere. So lots of places to sit in addition to the furniture we purchased. We have 2 fire pit areas. We have this grilling, Evo and barbecue station, and then other seating that you can't see. We haven't had this area professionally photographed yet. One thing that we like to do, so this is different than Old Town and Central. All those outdoor spaces are upstairs and private, you know, not on the ground floor and huge. So the other thing I love doing in our communities is really referencing the local area. Historically in images somehow, or in some art or other ways. And so because, well, I wouldn't say we were that smart, but years ago, THPRD redid all their park signs. You may not be aware of this. And they offered up all their old park signs for sale if you came and picked them up and paid, I don't know, 20 bucks or something per sign or per 2 signs, not a lot of money. So we thought, wouldn't that be cool to have these signs that we could repurpose somehow in a project one day? So because one person could only get 2 signs, it took about 8 of us to drive out there in the worst weather we've probably seen a torrential downpour. And we drive out there with our SUVs, and I didn't realize how heavy those park signs are. Massively heavy. We had to kind of paw through them to find the ones in the best shape and load them into our cars and bring them back to Callie's side yard and drop them there and say, hey, hang on to them until we figure out what to do with them. And this is how they got repurposed. This is just a portion of a privacy screening wall that's in the courtyard. There's more of it. And you can just see the different features from the different park signs. So really our park area references the parks, which I think is pretty cool. Let's make sure I talked about everything I wanted to here. Okay, so we have a video that was professionally shot that I'm gonna hope plays now so that you can get a sense of what the building feels like on the inside. So here we go. So that's our video. I told you there's 172, let me go back one. Oh, that's right. 172 apartment homes. We have a mix and they're all market rate. There's a mix of studio 1 and 2 bedrooms. This is a typical studio. You can see the range of studio sizes. There's 40 of them between 485 and 570 square feet. We've got a total of 25 different floor plans. This is a virtually staged unit. About 50 of the apartments have either a balcony or a patio, so a little under half. And then everybody's got access to that huge courtyard space. We've got 97 one bedrooms, and this is actually furniture. This is our model unit. This is one of the more typical layouts of one bedrooms. And we have 4 units that are on the ground floor that face second, that actually have access right onto second. And I'll show that a little bit later in the presentation. We have 35 2 bedrooms. Again, virtually staged, but that view is not virtual. There are some really amazing views out of this project. Now, of course, they won't be there forever. Somebody might build a parking structure and block your view, but they'll be there for a while. Rents range from $1,300 to about $2,300 a month. So if you remember from that, the site plan I showed you, we had on the west side, we have amenity space, and on the east side. This is some of the east side Lombard facing amenity space, which is our lobby. And I really think this is a pretty mailbox wall, so I included the picture. We have some co-working spaces, and kind of keep an eye on the art because I'll touch on that later in the presentation. And then this is just a little thing to show you. We have a package storage room, not lockers, because there's so many packages now that we have a whole room to receive them. Also on the Lombard side, we have a game room, and you can do many things in this game room. You can watch a game, or you can play a game by bringing your gaming system and plugging in and playing on the TV and sitting in one of those gamer chairs. We have a shuffleboard. We have an area where you can do puzzle, have a card game, whatever. It's a pretty fun, you know, colorful area. We have a massive, and I'm not lying, this is a massive bike storage and maintenance. It's just maintenance for your bike room. There's a sink, there's lockers, this bike repair thing. And then there is enough because we also have bike rooms on every single residential floor above. So we got a lot of bike storage. You could probably store a kayak or a paddleboard or whatever you need that won't fit in your apartment. Well, we got space for you here. You saw the fitness center. Now this is on the west side of the amenity space facing out onto the courtyard. The thing that it really didn't highlight is you can see at the top there, this window section, that's one of those roll up doors. And I think we have 2 of them. So that in good weather, you can roll up and let fresh air in, maybe pull your rower out into the courtyard. Across the courtyard is the community gathering room. You saw this in the video. There's a kitchen, little dining area, another TV. So you could have a small get together here, or you could open this barn door out onto this larger space. So it's really, you could have a small, close it off, open it up, or you could just have a meeting here and close it off so you're not bothering the people over there. This all faces out to the courtyard and has doors to go outside. Now, I think this is unique to the market area. I'm not going to swear, but I'm pretty sure nobody else in this market has a maker space in a multifamily project. And because Beaverton is so arts focused, we are pretty excited for this space. So we'll see how the residents use it, and if there's a way that we can incorporate local artists into the space.
Hey, Kara, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to let you know that we're getting close to time here. I know we started a little late, so maybe if you could
wrap it up.
About 5 more minutes.
Okay.
So just to give you a little warning.
Okay, well then I am going to go retail space, blah, blah, blah. 10 EV charging stations. These are the access out of those 4 units onto 2nd. They walk over the stormwater rain garden area over their own little bridge. And then we installed and gave the land to the city for a multi-use path. And that links Lombard to Franklin. You know, I was really hesitant to see how that would turn out. I think it looks great. And then I just wanted to highlight, because we've been around a long time, you know, we're family owned, but our company has this ethos of, you know, we're good stewards of our community. And we have pushed our contractor Pence on every job to increase their level of subcontractors who are MWESB certified or not. I don't care so much. I just want them to be BIPOC and women owned. And on this project, they were able to get 18% of the total value of all the subcontracts to be BIPOC or women owned, and 18% of the number of subcontracts. So that's the best they've done so far, and I'm really proud of them. The second way that we've really embraced diversity and inclusion here is all of the art was commissioned by Garrison Hullinger, our interior designer, to focus on Viewmaster. And so it references literally and figuratively Viewmaster. And right down here, this is a huge panel, but there's local pictures from Beaverton in there. So it's really cool. You got to get there and look up close sometime. And the art was all created by a Black artist from Portland named Darren Todd. He was so fun to work with. Okay, I know I'm not saying something, but that's okay because I love to talk and I could talk forever. But Tyler asked me, what are we doing next? Oh, before I forget, this mock-up, Chad Fackler is on this call, and this was one of his ideas, and he and Pence and Ankrum donated time and materials and weekends to create a pod of this mock-up and donate it to the Useful Waste Initiative by PSU, and it now lives at the east end of the Morrison Bridge. They didn't have a Beaverton location in the Hygiene for All project called the Hygiene Hub. And so since I'm limited, you can go look it up and see what they do there. What's next? Tyler asked me. We're working on another senior project, an Ackerley project in Hillsborough, South Hillsborough, Reed's Crossing. But we really think there's more space and more room in Beaverton for more multifamily, but maybe a little different than what we've done before. And we're constantly working on trying to figure out a way to develop a more moderately priced community. So I think that's it.
So anybody have any questions? I know I've got one, but don't know if anybody else does. I guess I'll start. So can you tell me about the parking situation? Maybe I missed it or went through it, but I'm wondering, where's everybody parking who lives there? Because I'm guessing there's going to be quite a number of cars.
Yeah, so we have 121 parking spaces, and we have a security gate access for all that parking.
Is it under the building or is it around the building?
No, on that site plan, it's on grade. It's all uncovered on grade, just south of the courtyard and the building, toward that community path.
Kyra, did you say on the 2nd Avenue side there are retail spaces?
Yeah, they wrap 2nd and Lombard.
Okay. Has any of that been leased yet?
Not yet. We've
Okay.
had some interest. Yeah, not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much. That was really interesting, and it's a beautiful building.
Thank you. Thank you. We're proud of it. We love it. And we've loved working with Beaverton. Obviously, we just keep doing it. So thanks, Tyler, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Kira. It's always a pleasure to hear the latest and greatest and see the final product, especially the Verso. Since the Verso, there is no public subsidy. Vertical housing tax is I think that's the only thing. Maybe you had some Metro money. I'm not sure, Kira.
Nothing.
And I think that's part of our story, right? Is that over time, as urban renewal assists with development and getting things jump started and starting to see movement, we have the tools to help. And at some point, that the private sector is able to use that momentum. And Kira talked about the comps. And so when kind of the first projects that came in was Barcelona and La Scala, there were 0 competitors of similar projects in Beaverton. And that's one of the things that you just kind of get rolling where your investors aren't interested. And as more and more come online, it makes it a little bit easier to help with development. Oswaldo, I think your finger's up with a comment or a question.
Yes, thank you. And actually, you bring up a good point about vertical property. And coming from a very, very large city with really, 10, 15-story top towers of apartments, where people can actually buy those apartments. Do you see that there is an opportunity in Beaverton to maybe developing some sort of a area where you could actually build that type of property, that condos, or like in downtown or East Portland?
I know that Cheryl Tweedy has asked us to consider that for a long time, and I don't think it's unrealistic. I think the market, unfortunately, the housing market is so hot and prices are increasing so much that starts to make more and more of a case for the, construction costs. Right now, townhomes seem to work out in terms of returns, but I think condo developers, they could be interested. It's just there's a lot more risk with the high density condo.
Josh, did you have a follow-up?
I was gonna raise my hand, but think Old Water will beat me to it. Great question.
Okay, Kira, thank you so much for your time tonight. You can go back and finish watching the game before the rest of us get a chance to watch the recording. So thanks so much, Kira. And hey, Chad, thank you for also joining us tonight. Chad has been involved with all of Rembold property projects here in Beaverton. Okay, Rebecca.
No, still you.
Okay, I knew you were going to say that. I was just taking a breath. So we moving on to our next guest, and we're a little bit behind, but Ash has a chance to come in and talk to us a little bit about the Hyatt House Hotel. And Kira alluded to in her site plan of the near the Round in the Westgate site, which is where the Rise Central is, and talked about the hotel. And Ash was actually not the hotel developer that Kira brought forward when they had that won the solicitation from the city to develop that site. Ash was number 2 in line, but I think, you know, if he knew that there was an opportunity and could have been number 1 in line, I think he would have jumped at it. But we did a separate RFP when the original hotel developer did not pan out. And Ash and his company, Canterbury Group, which is a local hotel developer and development group, they won that solicitation. And I'm happy to announce that the Hyatt House Hotel has opened up also in February, just about the time that we had our big ice storm. And it was, I think Ash was a little nervous of opening during that time, but we may find out that it wasn't so bad after all. Ash, welcome.
Thanks, Tyler. Well, actually, you covered a couple of my first slides, which is great. Let me know if you guys can all see my screen. Is the slide showing up?
Not yet.
Oh. Probably have to hit share screen.
There we go, Ash.
Perfect. Okay. Are you guys just seeing the presentation or the whole PowerPoint?
Whole PowerPoint at this point.
There we go. All right. Well, even though we're behind on time, fortunately, like Tyler said, since we have just opened, it has been a little bit of a runaround. So we were not able to get our photographer to go through and finalize his photos. So my presentation is going to be slightly shorter than Kira's. So as Tyler alluded to, for my group, we started with the City of Beaverton way back in August of 2016, responding to the city's RFP and then subsequently going through the interview process, because as Tyler mentioned, the original hotel developer did withdraw himself from the project, leaving an opening. You know, having been in Portland all of my life, our group, the Canterbury Group, is a family-owned business, and we have owned, developed, and operated hotels in the Portland metro area since the early 90s, predominantly around the PDX airport area, but also expanding to various other parts of Portland metro. This venture out to Beaverton was going to be our first to the west side. And to be honest, at the time, going through possible areas of wanting to do development, Beaverton was actually at the top of the list because it always felt like a market that was underserved in new lodging supply. Working very closely with Cheryl, Cadence, Tyler, and the whole community development team, we spent the next 2 years after our initial response collaborating and carefully planning out the right lodging facility for this project. Ultimately, we agreed on developing an upscale extended stay product that could facilitate or accommodate demand that could be associated with local traveling teams, hospitals, corporations in the area, as well as what will be the Performing Arts Center that's going to be opening kitty corner from us, hopefully, within the next year. Going through, we ultimately decided Hyatt would make for the best partner on this deal. And uniquely, this project, we literally brought the Hyatt Corporation in as capital partners to develop. We presented the plan, the vision for the city, and they came back to us with excitement, wanting to be a part of the project. So currently, as we are now open, which we did on February 12th of this year, Hyatt is operating the hotel for us while I provide daily support. And as Tyler alluded, we actually opened just a few days before that snowstorm. So some of our first days were spent me driving out to Beaverton in my truck, picking up staff, shuttling them to the property so that we could actually have bodies in the hotel. While we're still working on photography and videos for the hotel, hopefully everyone here has had a chance to drive around and has seen the project under construction or as it is now open. I've added a couple of exterior renderings. This is a 5-story hotel. Some of the best units are going to be those corner units on 100% corner that are going to be able to overlook all of the new development that has been going on in the area, with great views of the Performing Arts Center and the Rice Central right across the street. When we developed this hotel, we felt upscale was the only way to go for what Beaverton was offering. It would complement not only the apartments across the street, but the vision the city had for the Performing Arts Center and the Beaverton Central area as a whole. So I wanted to include some renderings. We have, although a tight space, we have a pretty open lobby area that flows into what will be a fully stocked open lobby bar on the west end of the lobby. To the right, we're going to be offering up open gathering room areas equipped with full media AV equipment so that guests as well as locals are able to come out and rent or utilize the space. Like most typical upscale extended stay hotels, we're going to be offering a pretty expansive fitness room. As I mentioned, a picture of the meeting room, as well as a second floor courtyard that's going to be facing southwest, overlooking Beaverton. Guest rooms are going to be mixed amongst dens, which is the center picture, which will accommodate more transient guests that are looking for a short-term stay. But this hotel is also predominantly going to be filled with 1-bedroom and studio suites that'll offer full kitchens with full-size appliances. So again, we are keeping it short because I don't have too many pictures, but since we are open and fully staffed, we encourage anyone who's interested to come by. Our general manager is always happy to meet, people in the area and would love to tour anyone around to show them the facilities in person, because with hotels, pictures are great, but it really does take a trip to the property to get a feel for what we're offering. So yeah, I'll pass it along to any questions.
Thanks, Ash. I actually have a question. So where do you have contracts with somebody for the extended stay, or where do you think the extended stay people are going to be coming from?
Yeah,
Where do you think that population is?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is going to be a mix. Since we did only open in February, we don't have contract business right now. However, we are actively going out to secure that business. And we feel securing a level of contract business is what's going to be the foundation for our demand. It's going to come from the hospitals. We think traveling doctors, medical programs, those are going to be a big part of it. We're also going to go out to a lot of the local companies and see if there's any contract business that they would like to secure. One of the things that we were most excited about with this project is that we offer a walkability factor that most other hotels in the Beaverton Hillsborough submarket do not. By staying at our property, you're able to walk to a New Seasons. You could go to any restaurant, the Foodcart Pods. Once a performing arts center is open, you can take in a show. So we offer a very unique experience relative to any other hotel in the market. And we fully expect that to give us an edge when it comes to contracting business. So we're treading carefully now, since we are still just ramping up and there are still, restrictions in place. But as things progress and, projects in the area start to be developed and completed, we're going to leverage our location to secure a fair amount of contract business for the hotel.
Hey, Ash, before we get into further questions, you on the corner, you showed the windows, and that's at Rose Beachy and Crescent. And underneath that, there's a vacant space. What's the vacant space? And maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we wanted to do with this hotel is we benefit from its location on 100% corner. And rather than putting the hotel's main entrance there, we elected to have a 2,100 square foot retail space that's odd in shape, but essentially going to be running, for the most part, along Rose Beachy, hitting that corner of the hotel. So, we have that space dubbed for restaurant use. We have a broker in place, and there has been a lot of interest. So currently, we are just working through our options and hoping to have that space leased out in the near term.
Is there other retail space underneath that's been leased out yet, or is that the only space?
That is going to be the only space for the hotel. Since the hotel does only sit on a 0.75 acre site, so we were constrained a bit on the ground floor. One of the things that you cannot see in this picture is we do offer limited surface parking on the south end of the site, and that is at grade and open.
And you also have a bar that is within the lobby
Correct.
area, correct? Right?
Correct. We are offering a full service lobby bar, and we are actually in the process of pulling together, hiring staff, and hopefully we'll have that part of the hotel open and operating in the coming weeks.
Ash, do you expect customers to be coming just for the hotel bar? I'm not familiar with hotel bar market.
Yeah, so generally speaking, it's usually the guests that come in and enjoy the bar or come down before heading out to evening dinners, meetings, what have you. One of the unique aspects we have here is that we are so close to a number of apartment units, right? Between the Round and the Rise Central, over 350, I believe. And one of the things we decided to do was, while you can't see it in these pictures, we actually designed a secondary entrance further down, which enters straight into the bar area. So we're really hoping to market the bar as its own unique entity to help attract more local business. And that can come from tenants of the apartment who we hope to offer some sort of promotion to incentivize them to come down. And it could also be patrons of the Performing Arts Center. So
Or those of us who work in the area, we'd be happy to have a drink there, right?
Oh yeah, have anyone from the neighboring City Hall building come on over for a drink.
I'm just curious about what the ratio of parking spaces to rooms is and how you're handling that?
Yeah, so as of now, we are actually only 39 spaces for 125 rooms. So we're at a 0.25-ish, right? When we first designed this hotel, we saw a real benefit to its location proximate to the light rail station. Having airport hotels, one of our properties is right next door to the first light rail stop out of PDX. And we understand the benefits of taking the train rather than sitting through Portland or Beaverton traffic, right? Highway 26 traffic. We still envision that to be the case. Things may have changed a bit given everything that's gone on in the past 12 months, but ultimately there will be a recovery, and we think, you know, that light rail is going to play a big part in this hotel's location. Until that happens, if there is a need for additional parking spaces, we know we're going to need to utilize and go out and make deals with neighboring areas to either lease spaces as needed, you know, or come up with some sort of agreement. Yeah.
I'll ask a question. Do you have conference room availability there? And I know that the city sometimes cannot hold meetings whenever we're able to hold meetings again at some place, but they have to be at public buildings or whatever. But maybe for a retreat or something, you have a place that maybe can be used that way?
We do. So we have a couple of gathering areas, and actually they're both shown in this picture. So below is our gathering room, which flows straight into our lobby area. It is adjacent to the retail space, which is located right behind that wall and sits on Crescent. So that is a small meeting room that can be utilized. And then depending on the season, we are also going to be opening up the second floor terrace to be able to utilize for small gatherings. We have plenty of seating up there, and we feel like it brings a unique outdoor experience if anyone wanted to have a meeting, because it does have a level of privacy and quiet.
Excellent. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you, Ash. That's really interesting to learn more about this hotel. I've seen it, I've driven by it. I just didn't even realize it was open, frankly, yet. So.
Yeah, we haven't been able to put up the grand opening banner yet. We'll work on it. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's a tough time to be opening up during COVID, a hotel, and you know, just talking with Ash earlier today, and you know, hiring of staff has been even a bit of a challenge for the team, and I think we're hearing that in a variety of industries right now. Yes, and you know, so hey, Ash, thank you so much, and thanks for your investment and your you know, willingness to be one of the first urban kind of style hotels in a suburban market, at least you know, what I'm aware of here in Oregon, to be dropping into and seeing helping see our vision of minimizing the number of parking stalls, using light rail, you know, being a part of uses that kind of go across the spectrum of the rainbow, from the office uses here to residential to commercial to an arts center, and using these assets that have been starting to come alive in the last few years, and you've been a part of that. And thank you to you and your company.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, we've had a great experience working with your team, and honestly, despite where the hotel industry is right now, we're excited about Beaverton and what's happening there right now, and we're going to make every effort to try to come back and do another one. I think, you know, Kira was a prime example of, you had a good experience the first time, you're going to keep coming back and doing it again, and I think we're going to be that group to do the same.
Thank you, Ash.
All right.
All right, thank you for that. That's fantastic. And I'm going to turn it over to Megan, who's going to talk to us about a restaurant strategy update, which is very exciting because I love restaurants.
I need to apologize now. I just came from the Central Beaverton NAC and they told me to warn you, I'm going to make you hungry. So if you haven't eaten dinner, I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize up front. I am going to share my screen and I can now not see most of you. So if you have a question during my presentation, I am absolutely one that you can interrupt. So interrupt away and ask. So I am part of a restaurant strategy team that the city put together in 2016. We are an division group that also actually includes feedback from the Beaverton Downtown Association as well as the chamber as needed. And our goal in 2016 was to make Old Town the premier restaurant destination of the West Side. And we actually have done it. We officially have a there in Old Town, which is extremely exciting. Since the time when we started keeping track of these statistics, partially thanks to Josh Carrillo when he was working with us. Hi, Josh. 33 new restaurants have opened in downtown compared to only 11 closing and or moving out of downtown. And this statistic just blows my mind. We have had more restaurants in the last year during COVID pandemic open than we have closed. And to be honest, only one of the ones that closed 100% because the economy, harsh changes because of the pandemic. So most of the others it was the end of their lease term or they decided to expand into a bigger space. And that statistic just blows my mind because that is not what you're going to find in most other districts.
Hey, Megan.
Yeah.
Who closed? Just curious.
Oh, so the 5 that have closed, we have, now you're doing a pop quiz. Okay, so we have Dukubi that closed. We knew that was happening before the pandemic. And I think they're still looking for a new location. We have Delectable Baked Goods. They're the ones who, over 50% of their business was catering. They're the one who absolutely closed because of the pandemic. Catering is just not happening these days. We had, oh my God, was it Spicy Thai on Broadway closed and now it is a new Thai restaurant. And so it converted like in less than a month, had flipped. And oh, anyone else help me? Who am I missing? Oh, Big O's closed.
Big O's.
It was at the end of their lease. And so that was another one we had foreseen coming, but we had hoped to try to get them into a different location, but they ended up going a different direction. So yes, but we had 8 open, which is absolutely astonishing. So anyway, those are the 5 that have closed just in the last year during the pandemic. So, but all of that being said, during the pandemic, we have 12 restaurants under construction, 12 just in downtown, plus 2 food and beverage opportunities that are sale pending. And I'm going to walk through each of these because you guys need to be in the know and you need your tummies to be in the know because you're going to be ordering some food soon. So number 1, we just heard Hyatt House Hotel Bar is now officially open. Super exciting. If you go catty corner or diagonal across the street to the crescent shaped building, you have Brick House Coffee here, and right behind that where an architecture office used to be, open as of last week. I should have changed this slide. Last Wednesday, Clover and Booch opened. They are a kombucha bar, our first one in Beaverton. So you can go either drink kombucha tea there or you can get growlers to go. They're also a lovely gift shop, plants and other gifts to go. So definitely go check them out. We're very excited that they opened. Okay, now I'm going to hop you over to Broadway. This is the bakery blocks. A year and a half ago-ish, Miracle Signs came in and purchased this entire block, and they opened in the former theater building. The rest of this has been empty other than Big O's until recently. And they finally have decided to fill it and are currently under renovations. And so in these 2 spaces where you used to go in and buy bakery goods and underneath the historic house, on the bottom floor is going to be Binary Brewing, taking up the majority of the square footage, with Rough Draft, which is a burger joint. It is a burger food cart currently that is famous for their smash burgers. They're very popular, and so they've decided to partner where Binary doesn't want to serve food, or doesn't want to deal with food. So rough draft is going to be, you can go buy the burger and you can buy a brew from Binary, and they're going to have shared seating on the inside. So it's going to be a really great environment. And this is now a full plaza here. This is an outdated photo, full plaza where you can also have some outdoor dining. You're going to see as I walk through these, also the last bullet here. So you're going to see that tenant improvement and storefront grants that use urban renewal funds as well as general funds are a huge tool in the recruitment of these, and one of the major reasons why we've had so much success in recruitment in our area. So those are those two. Over here where Big O's Pizza was and where you used to be able to order wedding cakes back in the day is actually going to be, the full building is being taken by CC Coffee Company. They're currently over in Portland. The location in Portland, they are hip and cool, and they even have a motorcycle museum right in the same spot. Not the same kind of thing that we see in other locations, say like down Broadway. It's an actual like hip, cool, I'm told, kind of place. And so they're going to still do the motorcycle theme here. They're probably not going to have a full museum, but we're going to enjoy a really great coffee joint. Okay, let's hop over to First and Lombard. This is where the Stars Strip Club used to be. It doesn't even look like this right now. If you guys have driven past, it is fully under construction and will become K-Town Korean barbecue, where you're going to be able to eat barbecue inside, make it the barbecue at each of your seats. Let me tell you, the HVAC, when you need a hood over every single booth, is just crazy. The structural drawings, oh my God. Anyway, it's going to be super exciting when they come in with a really great indoor-outdoor environment. And they should be opening this summer, which is really, I'm so excited for them. And then hot off the presses, right across the street, the Waba property has been sold to the Burger Stevens outfit. They are not going to be opening Burger Stevens, however. They are going to be opening Chez Stevens and opening a French bistro. So think really fancy cocktails that you're going to love to drink with their lovely French food, and usually outdoor seating. And it's just going to be this really great experience. They're just now hiring their designer, so I don't have pretty pictures as to what it's going to look like, but I'm super excited that this entire corner of Lombard and First is really going to be able to pop and make everything really be a really good destination on this end of the town. And then let's hop, I'm sorry to give you guys whiplash, but we're going to go all the way over to 4th and Angel, where La Vida Veggie used to be. Oh, La Vida Veggie. I loved La Vida Veggie and was very sad when they closed a couple years ago. Year and a half, couple years. COVID time has just made all timing go wibbly wobbly. Anyway, this is what it looks like. If you peeked in the windows, their renovation is almost done. They have one small electrical issue that they need to deal with, and then they should be opening here within the next month. And so I can't tell you that it's amazing sushi, but it's amazing sushi, I'm told, from California. So we're very, very excited that they're coming to town. Okay, we finally made it to Restaurant Row. So here we go. Let's start at our gateway. So most of you should recognize this building. This is the former Arthur Murray building. It's officially the Bank of Beaverton building. This is the building that BIRA purchased with urban renewal funds, and then immediately RFP to find the ideal user for this space. The ideal user, Travis Henry, purchased the property with the promise of bringing in Chef's Table and and Lightning Bar Collective. Unfortunately, COVID happened, and the Lightning Bar Collective, part of that partnership, had to pull out. But Chef's Table was a big enough outfit restaurant group that they then just brought in another one of their concepts, and Loyal Legion is it. So it's currently under construction, and Loyal Legion has a location in Portland. They have 99 local beer taps, as well as in local beer. Obviously the taps are local. That could have been confusing, sorry. Anyway, and they serve German beer. And they're going to convert their entire parking lot into outdoor seating. And this was before COVID. So before COVID, they said Downtown Beavertonites, they absolutely want outdoor seating. And now because of COVID, now everybody wants outdoor seating. So we're very excited for this one to be opening this summer. I really need to get an updated photo here because I don't know if you guys have seen the Naquan building, but the Beaverton Downtown Association and the city partnered to really renovate this historic building, and it is looking phenomenal right now. But for this one, we have First Street Pocha going in where Dooku B vacated right next to Naquan. It is going to be Korean street food, which I am told is not the same not necessarily the same cuisine that you're going to get over at Nakwan. And so they're not going to be competing, which is great. And I'm seeing that there was a chat. And so I just want to pause real quick. I'm reading, I'm sorry. Great question. So I cannot answer the question specifically for the 12 that I am showing today. What I can say is that we have done an unofficial inventory of downtown, especially restaurant ownership in general. And we have found that the percentage of BIPOC ownership of our downtown restaurants is actually a little bit higher than actually the BIPOC representation of our residents of Beaverton as a whole. Now, that being said, and I was going to save this for a later slide when we talk about things that we want to focus on going forward, what we don't know is, are these same restaurants actually serving BIPOC customers at the same level as we have communities of color living within Beaverton? And so, i.e., is downtown serving all of Beaverton? And that's a big question that I know that the downtown equity strategy hopefully will be able to answer, and then take us to the next step. If the answer happens to be no, what new uses could we be offering in downtown that would bring them down here, or design elements, or things that the Loop could be learning from, or placemaking, or that sort of thing that would make sure that our downtown really represents the downtown that all Beavertonites really need. Okay, going forward. So let's hop across the street to the former Hotbox corner. And we are very excited. Hotbox is still, if you needed the Hotbox wares, whether the glassware or their clothing line, they did move up the street, up on Hall on the other side of the creek from City Hall, part of Beaverton Central. But in this building, we now have 2 new restaurants under construction coming in, due to open in just a couple months. On the Watson side, we have Sudra, which is a plant-based Indian restaurant that also has a location already in Portland. Very exciting. I love Indian food, and that's one of the things we don't have in downtown yet, so I'm super excited for them to come in. And then Sizzle Pie will finally be coming in over on the First Street side. If you guys have pay attention, they've been floating around trying to find the perfect location now for a while. So we're super excited that we were able to snag them right here in the heart of our restaurant row.
Between that and Shake Shack opening, my little New Yorker heart is very happy.
Absolutely. Though the Shake Shack should have opened in downtown, I'm just saying. I guess it's close enough. But okay, so sale pending as in any moment. It's within a week that this will close, most likely. Is Breakside Brewing has purchased a third of a block in Old Town. And so this is the third of the block. It somehow has shifted. I apologize. This yellow box should be over here. But they have purchased the former Rose City Modern building, as well as where the vault was located. The vault is officially, I believe, moved out last week, and then will be reopening in the Katy building. They're doing a little switcheroo with Staghorn Mercantile moving over to where the dojo used to be, and then the vault opening to where Staghorn is. So the vault is just temporarily closed, and we are very excited to patronize them as soon as they reopen. But they get a nice vacation. I'm hoping that they see it that way and can enjoy it. So in the meantime, we have Breakside doing 2 projects. The first one is the Foodcart Plaza that will be opening up right here on Farmington and Angel. This one they're hoping to open up by summer. If I was a guessing woman, I'm going to think mid to late summer, as they have some site improvements that they need to do. It will include about 4-ish food carts and a container bar. If you've never heard of a container bar, as in using an old train car as a bar, definitely Google. Those things are cool, and they're bringing cool to Beaverton, and I am very excited. So this one we hope to open here late summer. And then as soon as the architects are done with this design, they're going to hop on over to the second building, so Rose City Modern, and they're going to 2/3 of this building will be used by Breakside for an actual restaurant, and then 1,000 square feet will be open to a new tenant. They're leaning towards another food and beverage tenant, but if not, then very relatable retail is what they're probably going to angle for. But those probably won't open until early 2022. Okay, so we created a there. 2016, we made a plan. We've implemented it. Now what are we going to do? Well, first of all, the success is huge. Beaverton has been put on the radar in a substantial way. When we first started Restaurant Strategy, I was picking up the phone and doing a bunch of cold calling along with my team. And that's how we got Ex Novo and Big's Chicken and some of those first pioneers moving in since Restaurant Strategy first started. Now they're calling us. Now we don't have enough space. Now folks want to be moving here because they realize something cool is happening over here in Beaverton in downtown. And this success is allowing us to pivot a little. So the Restaurant Strategy team is pivoting to a couple things. One, we want to start supporting this new restaurants. We now have those 33 new restaurants in downtown, or a net 22 new restaurants, plus 14 new ones on top of that about to come in. And so that brings some new questions about parking, pedestrian safety, the outdoor dining that's currently you see during COVID, that's temporary. How do we make that some of that permanent? And branding, there's a there yet, there now. How about we figure out how we want to talk about that and how everybody else should be talking about it?
So
we want. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's a question in the chat, which was my question too, about where does the loop stand with this, making it truly pedestrian? Because the parking is, to me, the biggest issue with, trying to even find these restaurants. I tried to get down there and there was no parking, so I couldn't eat there. So it was very disappointing. So can you talk a little bit about that?
So I don't represent necessarily the loop. We're absolutely working very strongly with the loop, and the loop has not in any way determined exactly what plans that they're going to do, but they had made public back in the day the idea that they would be taking away potentially some of the parking to do increased more sidewalk, as well as maybe more bike infrastructure, more pedestrian area. Now, one thing I can say, some of the areas that the loop wanted to do that have now been closed for the whole last year for outdoor dining, right? That being said, we have a lot of underutilized parking in downtown that sometimes customers could use, but frankly, I think that employees that are currently working in these restaurants aren't utilizing at the rate that they can. And so the idea that where the farmers market usually is, so the Library West lot is officially what that's called, that's only 2.5 blocks from the heart of Restaurant Row. But do people feel comfortable doing that walk? There's a couple darker spaces that we've been working on. So how do we add lighting there is one of the questions. And two, how do we, the parking plan includes actually bringing enforcement to downtown, which is something that we haven't been doing. So I'm sure that Molly Rabinovitz will be coming to talk to you guys about parking at some point, but the idea that I believe on her plan, we're actually going to have enforcement starting in July, possibly. And so if that's the case, then those employees, we need to make sure they know where they can be parking and they can be freeing it up for you to be able to park as a diner closer to the restaurants. And all of that being said, frankly, we probably need to build more parking in Old Town down the road at the same time.
So, and then I also see an inclusive downtown. My concern is, we've heard presentations tonight, brand new apartments going up that are market rate. We're seeing all these great restaurants coming in. And I worry a little bit about what it's going to do to the affordability of living in Beaverton and around Beaverton and the affordable housing that we're looking at. So yes, Tyler.
Yeah, so Megan will talk about restaurants and then we'll tie the knots back.
Oh, okay.
That's okay, Rebecca.
Thanks, Tyler. Okay, so we want to support growth and now that we have the restaurant capacity, we really also want to pivot to Beaverton Central. We have a lot of new commercial coming into Beaverton Central. Some of it Bureau owned, right? Below the 7-story parking garage, we have 6,700 square feet of space. Ash just talked about a 2,200 square foot restaurant space that he has, and we still have the key corner space underneath Beaverton, the Rise Central, that is vacant. How do we help ensure that the tenanting of all of those spaces really help our current commercial mix sing and help support what Patricia Reeser Center for the Arts patrons are going to want, as well as everybody else that is our users of that space. And then ultimately, as Beaver Dam starts to grow and things happen there, start looking at what is the ground floor plane and the commercial opportunities that are there. And then, as I've already mentioned, and we just briefly talked about, supporting an inclusive downtown and city. So that's not only the ensuring there are opportunities for BIPOC business owners and property owners to ensure that they're still able to get in to the spaces in downtown, but also looking at the customers. Are we really serving everybody for Beaverton? And then continue management of our what have been really successful storefront and tenant improvement grant programs so far. These programs have absolutely been pivotal to the recruitment that I previously have mentioned. And now is a really great time to relook at them and make sure with the changing market conditions, both because of COVID and because of where Beaverton has changed, as well as what our community priorities have changed. Is there anything about storefront and tenant improvement that need to change? And before I end, I wanted to leave you guys with two little sneaky poos, just in case you haven't been downtown because, you know, COVID and all. We have two current, oops, I popped over, so I'm now touching you guys. We have two existing restaurants that just did major renovations that you guys should absolutely be excited about. And both, I was just corrected during the Central Beaverton NAC, both have opened in the last week. The first one is Mocha Tea House. This is what it looked like before COVID hit. They just did a total renovation. It looks amazing. It used to look like this on the inside during Halloween. And now it looks like this. They have fully changed. And what used to be a complete storage area upstairs, they have renovated and made its own full seating area. You can also probably reserve this for events. And so very exciting. They're also about to update the menu a bit. They promise that they'll keep the brick toast, but they're going to update the rest of it. So make sure and stop by. They're completely open. And then just opened a couple days ago, Tan Tan. This is what it looked like before. They fully closed down for a couple months so they could do their renovation to change it to this. I know it doesn't look like much because as of this picture 2 weeks ago, they hadn't planted the plants or installed the mural. But on the inside, this is what it looked like. And now it looks like this. It is just gorgeous. So definitely I will get new photos as now that they're fully open, and we're very excited about both of them. So
excellent.
Any other questions?
Great presentation, Megan. You know, I watched you do this for years, and it seems like every year you get better and better. You're a really great ambassador for the program, for all three, actually. A little bit bummed about Big O's, but excited about everything else. A question I have is, it looks like you were saying at the end of your presentation that there might be a shift of focus from Old Town to the TOA, or like right near where the city's offices are located. Do you see another shift in other areas in the city, like maybe along Cedar Hills, or is it just kind of you're going to shift your focus to the TOA area and stay there for a bit?
That's a great question, Josh. So we're keeping focus on Old Town, as in let's help what we've built be successful, but then shifting to Beaverton Central area, specifically as we talk about recruitment and tenanting and trying to make sure that it's the right mix there. And it's not just all restaurants. I know it was a restaurant strategy and I was talking a lot about restaurants, but it's not just every space should be a restaurant. But at this point, those are the only two areas that we've really focused on as far as restaurant strategy is concerned. And as far, and if you were also asking about storefront and tenant improvement, the boundaries of those two programs haven't changed at this time either.
Megan, maybe you can make mention of Allen Boulevard.
Absolutely. So Allen Boulevard, while not part of restaurant strategy, is also part of the storefront improvement program. We are definitely looking at what's happening there and trying to make sure that it stays as successful as it can. With it also is seeing big development, not only of course, the public safety center, but other renovations that have happened recently. So if you haven't driven past down Allen Boulevard, you should definitely go and look. Storefront has definitely helped some folks have some new facelifts, which is really exciting.
I would like to interrupt, Megan. You mentioned it was okay to do that.
Always.
One place that I think is pretty wonderful in the Rise building, I didn't hear you mention the tap house, Central Station Taps.
Absolutely. I love Central Station Taps. I was trying not to talk about current restaurants. I could be talking for hours about our restaurants and our downtown businesses. But yes, I definitely love Central Station Taps. They did open pre-pandemic, so they weren't part of this specific presentation. But if you guys have not already enjoyed near City Hall, definitely go check out Central Station Taps.
So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pop on. We're a few minutes over, so I just want to let you all know. So if you've got maybe one or two last questions, that would be great.
I put some questions in the chat there. Does the restaurant plan have any strategy for dealing with turnover of the restaurants, and are you doing anything to encourage mass transit use as we think about parking demand?
So I can definitely answer the question about turnover. One of the great things about using the tenant improvement grant program is we get to really pay attention to construction as it happens, because it's required by our grant. And so ensuring that the methods that they do to really make the restaurants, to install the new restaurants, they're using ideal choices. And so that way, should they leave, it should be easy to flip and go to the next restaurant. Is really our purpose with those funds. As far as mass transit is concerned, we do, when we do market downtown in general, we market the fact that it is so easily accessible by mass transit, both bus and MAX. And that is absolutely part of the marketing materials that we've used when we have been recruiting type marketing materials.
So Mary Beth has had her hand up, so I think that's, let her ask the last question.
Thank you. Karen, thank you for the shout out. So I'm Mary Beth Buffum, and I'm one of the owners of Central Station Taps. And I guess I kind of want to keep on the whole parking thing, because, and the reason I brought up the loop earlier is because it sounds like there are no plans for any pedestrian bridges over Farmington and Canyon. And it seems to me that it really would be important to have safe, pedestrian, and pleasant, which Mark Sansucci really emphasized in their last meeting, to have good, safe, pleasant pedestrian and bicycle transit between the old town and downtown areas and central Beaverton. I mean, obviously we have an interest, since we're not a restaurant, of people being able to get from that area to our area. But the other issue, which you brought up, is that there's no parking, or very little parking in downtown. So it seems to me it is really important going forward that people be able to get from the parking that is abundant in central Beaverton over to those areas, and also, emphasizing more transit. So those are my 2 cents. We're really excited about the hotel opening up, and the Rise has been great. I don't know if Kira's still here, but they've been really wonderful to work with. Megan said we opened pre-COVID. We opened exactly a week before COVID blew up. So it's been an interesting year.
Yeah.
And we're doing well thanks to the tenants at the Rise. But I really want to harp on this whole loop idea. I don't know what this committee can do in terms of promoting the idea of some sort of safer pedestrian transit, because trying to cross Farmington and Canyon is pretty sketchy.
Yeah. Hey,
anyway, thanks for letting me.
I'm going to take your question real quick, Mary Beth. So we're at 8:30.
Thanks.
So I want to make sure you're hitting on all the things that we're actually having all kinds of planning efforts on. And you'll probably be hearing more and more about parking action plan and more on the loop. Paige, who's on our committee here, she is on the, I think it's the Citizen Advisory Committee page is the actual one that you're on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, but I think what the abbreviation is.
Yeah,
It's CAC in Advisory Committee. And I think this is Citizen.
Right. And so
Has Waldo's on that as well, right? Yeah.
And so these are, huge efforts, and they're kind of just starting off. And on April 27th, you'll be able to listen in at the Bureau meeting to hear an update on the loop and where it's at. It's kind of in the initial stages. And then the parking advisory or parking action plan and kind of an update there tomorrow night on City Council. You'll be able to hear where that's at. And these all pieces are all part of the fabric of what is going on between Beaverton Central and Old Town. So thank you for bringing those up, and thank you for living in the round, and also for Central Taps, and for you and Bill being here tonight.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate, we love it down here, and you guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience as well of dealing with construction every single day for the last year and a half.
Amen.
So,
Right.
yeah, so thank you, Megan, for your presentation. Luckily I just finished eating, so, but definitely have a bunch on my list to try, and I will do a bid for brunch places. There's just not a lot for brunch, so I would love some more brunch places. But thank
I hear
you
that.
so much. Tyler?
Yeah, I just want to look at Carol's comment here. And Carol, I don't know if you want to speak to it real quick, or maybe I can respond, because that's the other leg of what's happening in our community, and that's the downtown equity strategy. And that is another effort that is getting started from all of our, somebody's needs to mute possibly. Carol, I don't know if that's yours. Yep, thank you. And so we've had a couple presentations from Rachel Teamy, and there's going to be a huge community outreach on this, because this is really going to be the bread and butter of, where is Beaverton going as we invest these dollars in our community, and what does that mean to our small businesses, our BIPOC-owned businesses, and the residents that might be living here, in affordability. We understand that the entire spectrum of housing is necessary in order to be a successful space. We have one affordable housing development that has been constructed. That's Barcelona. The Marianne is under construction over by the high school. And we recognize, we need to continue to really work hard on that. And there was a town hall this past week on the 5th Street, and some of the projects that are happening just outside of urban renewal, but obviously will contribute to the makeup of that wide spectrum of housing. Okay, Rebecca, hopefully, Carol, I got to your question. Yeah. I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay.
I think, and we're running out of time. So,
yeah, so
Megan, thank you very much for coming in tonight.
Chase, you're up.
Yes, I only want to double down on downtown equity strategy quickly about an update. So the RFP, request for proposals, went out earlier this year and closed on February 8th. So actually after the last URAC meeting. We really want to thank Paula for serving on the review team and volunteering her time there. Paula, thank you so much. And a group was selected of consultants, headed up by a group called Vision Action Network, or VAN, and they actually brought together a team of experts. So Adelante Mujeres Apano, which is the Asian Pacific American Network of Oregon, Bienestar, the Coalition of Communities of Color, and Eco Northwest all came together on this proposal. And they really brought a fantastic proposal, leveraging their history of experience with diverse communities in the area, and also with working with things like tracking and metrics around diversity and inclusion and engagement all across the board. So we're really excited to work with them. We are updating them right now with everything we've learned so far, bringing all the history of projects and chatting with them about what the engagement plan will look like going forward from here. And I'm sure there will be a presentation here in the near future.
Great, thank you. All right, approval of the minutes. Do I have anybody who is read it over and wants to approve?
I move to approve the December minutes.
Thank you, Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oswaldo, thank you. Anybody opposed to approval of the minutes or see any changes that need to happen? Seeing none, the minutes are approved and we are done, adjourned. So thank you everybody for attending, and we'll see you at the next meeting, which I believe is